My name is Joe Knitter. I spent 41 years active in the fire service, 4 years as a paid-on-call firefighter, and 37 years as a career firefighter. Retired just under 2 years ago as the fire chief for the city of South Milwaukee, where I spent 37 years. Firefighter occupational cancer has been identified as the leading cause of line of duty deaths in the fire service. In fact, last year, 63% of the names added to the IAFF Fallen Firefighter Memorial were members who died from occupational cancer. One of them was a very good friend of mine. We're finally realizing that something has to be done, that it's out there. We can't ignore it any longer. There's websites out there, firefighterclosecalls.com being one of them, that is at the forefront of spreading the news, getting the information out, sharing the information. According to the Centers for Disease Control, firefighters have slightly over twice the risk of developing mesothelioma than the general population. And primarily, this is in the lungs because of asbestos exposure from insulation and building construction materials that are used in the construction of what we're calling legacy homes. Unfortunately, firefighters, the culture of the fire service and firefighters themselves is that when they think they don't see anything in the air, they take their respiratory protection off. And unfortunately, when we don't see or smell or hear or whatever the dangers, we trust that the coast is clear, and that's not the case. So these ultrafine particles are still in the air, they're getting into the lungs, they're causing the issues, and the carcinogens are still present. So mesothelioma is the number one, has the highest risk factor at this point. When I developed the program for my department when I was chief, we call it the FACE program, Firefighters Addressing Cancer Exposure. The number one most simple rule was you don't breathe smoke or bad air. And we trained our personnel to remember that bad air is everywhere until we say it's good air. And that comes with testing and monitoring and so on and so forth. So the teaching moment or the training moment is you just don't pull your respiratory protection off when you think the coast is clear. We have to prove that it is clear before we can do so. Skin cancer is another one. I myself am a skin cancer survivor, I'll say. I've been diagnosed and treated for it. Luckily for me, it was squamous cell skin cancer and not skin melanoma. Skin melanoma cancer, firefighters have a 34% greater risk factor. In 2022, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, conducted a study that reclassified the occupation, the physical occupation of firefighting itself, to the highest hazard category that they assigned, and that's Group 1. What does that mean? That means that they consider that firefighting itself is carcinogenic to humans, that it causes cancer in humans. So simply put, fighting fires is the cause of cancer. The World Health Organization estimates between 30 to 50% of all cancer cases are preventable. And I think that's true in the fire service as well. You know, those cancers that are diagnosed outside of those that are hereditary, we have means to prevent some of these exposures. And those prevention efforts offer the most cost-effective long-term strategies for the control of cancer. When we're being reactive and treating them is one thing, but if we're being proactive and preventing them, that's where we really need to focus. Ideally, there are 3 areas that need to be focused on to minimize our exposure to carcinogens and cancer-causing risk factors: on the fire ground, at the fire station, and then off the job. The days of the salty firefighter are over. I hate to say that, and that sometimes is controversial. But we have a new saying, and that clean is the new salty. We know how many fires people are going to. We know the heroic and brave actions they take at those fires. But the fact of the matter is that those firefighters have to be thinking about their future. An exposure right now won't rear its ugly head for another 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years. And they have to think about their future. What about their family? What about their friends? What about the long-term effects of that?